Previously on the channel, we covered an English football club that rose through the non-league to get to the dizzying heights of League One before its owner ran out of money, and it eventually folded a couple of years later. That, in a nutshell, was the story of Rushden and Diamonds. Whilst Rushden and Diamonds was rising through the English leagues, one club in Scotland that had withdrawn from the English football pyramid was about to make history with a meteoric rise that would get them into a European competition. This is Gretna. Hailing from a small town on the Scottish border, Gretna, who were founded in 1946, spent much of its history playing in England's football pyramid with limited success. The club had applied to join the Scottish football pyramid since the 1990s. However, it was in the 02-03 season that Gretna became a Scottish League club for the first time, taking the place of Airdrieonians, who had gone out of business. With Gretna now taking their place in the third division of the Scottish Football League, in steps English businessman Brooks Mileson, someone who would back the club's rise to the top level of the Scottish football pyramid. Milson was a Mackem, and if you don't know what one of those is, that's a person from Sunderland. He was born in the town in 1947. He made his fortune starting out in the construction business before moving into insurance. Milson was, of course, a massive football fan, having been involved or made donations to various clubs in his lifetimes, including Berwick Rangers, the only English-based club to play in Scotland, well, Scotland's professional leagues anyway, Dundee, Carle United, and many, many more. Milson lived in Carlisle and was a supporter of their local football team, Carle United, a club whose supporters' trust he had previously given money to. After he failed to take over Carle United, Milson turned his attention north of the border to Gretna and bankrolled 3 consecutive promotions from the third division to the Scottish Premier League. Gretna was then a town of around 3,000, which would struggle to support a professional lower league club, let alone one in the top flight. And much like our previous tale with Rushden and Diamonds, the amount of money to keep the club afloat was eye-watering. Various figures have been floated about as to how much Milson was investing into Gretna, somewhere between £7 to £8 million as a rough estimate. In 2006, Gretna achieved something that made everybody take notice of them when they reached the Scottish Cup final against Hearts. Ultimately, they lost on penalties after a 1-1 draw after extra time at Hampden, as Hearts had finished second in that season's Scottish Premier League, the 05-06 season. It meant that Gretna would be given their place in UEFA Cup qualifying, making them the first second division team to qualify for a European competition. They would lose to Derry City of the League of Ireland 3-7 over 2 legs in second round qualifying. Gretna had also been promoted that season. They reached the Scottish Cup final. They had been promoted to the first division following back-to-back promotions. It was in the 07-08 season that Gretna made it to the promised land of the Scottish Premier League. This small town club was now one of Scotland's 12 best teams alongside Celtic and Rangers. Due to the club's stadium not meeting requirements to host Premier League matches, Gretna would end up playing their one and only season in Scotland's top flight at Motherwell's Fir Park, which is quite a distance from Gretna. Milson had promised a new 6,000 capacity stadium for the club to comply with SPL regulations, which is insane considering Gretna as a town had a 3,000 population, around 3,000 population at the time. However, as you may know, the new stadium never happened. Milson was suffering with health problems from which he wouldn't recover. And with the reported £4 million in debt catching up with the club, By the mid-season of 2008, well, by March of 2008, the club entered administration with severe cost-cutting put in place, and of course, the arbitrary 10-point deduction for going into administration. It was the league itself that ended up paying the players' wages to make sure that Gretna could fulfill its fixture schedule. Coaching staff, such as their manager and assistant manager, had left. Their captain had been made redundant, and he'd left as well, having had other opportunities elsewhere. Gretna also have the dishonour of having the lowest attendance in the SPL history, when only 431 fans turned up to watch an already relegated Gretna lose to Inverness. I'm sure you're not surprised to learn that Gretna would finish bottom of the SPL with only 13 points to their name. If that wasn't bad enough, the club resigned from the Scottish Football League, meaning that they would not play a part of the 2008-09 Division 1 season. Instead, in August of 2008, the club was liquidated, with former owner Brooks Mileson having died in November of 2008. In 2010, despite Mileson being very much dead, he was declared bankrupt by a court in Carlisle with around £6 million of debt associated with him. This is after the estate left by Milson was sued for the money he owed. Gretna would move on with the founding of a brand new football club called Gretna 2008. They currently play in the Lowland Football League, one division below the SPFL League 2.
If you like this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up as well, and hit the bell icon to be notified of all our latest videos. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out our website. It's deadair.media/sport for the latest football news. See you next time.